But now to the real story of the week, which is the fallout from the Banking Royal Commission.
The Treasurer has warned executives of insurance giant AMP they face prison over confessions that have been made at the Banking Royal Commission.
What has occurred here and what has been admitted to in the Royal Commission by AMP is deeply disturbing. This type of behaviour can attract penalties which include jail time. That's how serious these things are.
Yes, the evidence at the Royal Commission has been explosive, with AMP admitting it lied to the corporate watchdog ASIC on 20 separate occasions, and also admitting it charged fees to its customers for services they did not receive. Commonwealth Bank confessed it was guilty of doing the same, and agreed it was a gold medalist in the sport of ripping off its clients. And then came the revelation that the bank had knowingly ripped off the dead.
So far, the Commission has heard from Commonwealth Bank executive Marianne Perkovich, who has admitted the bank charged fees to clients they knew had died.
It is astonishing stuff from a Royal Commission the government never wanted and did everything in its power to avoid. And in the wake of those dramatic revelations, we've seen some remarkable political confessions, like this one.
In the past, I argued against a Royal Commission into banking. I was wrong. What I have heard so far is beyond disturbing.
The Commission's opponents in the media, like Sky's Andrew Bolt, have also lined up to admit their error.
Confession. I thought that this Royal Commission into financial institutions wouldn't uncover anything that we really didn't know already. Wrong.
And Bolt was by no means alone. Here is the Australian's senior business commentator John Joye back in June 2016 on why we don't need a banking royal commission, calling it
a complete waste of time and arguably a touch dangerous.
And here he is last Thursday, delivering his mea culpa.
This column admittedly was not originally a proponent of the Royal Commission, but now acknowledges it was wrong.
This column? You're the one who writes it, John. We'll see how many others fess up, but trust me, the list is long. Here's the AFR's Tony Boyd in April 2016, for example, branding it a very bad idea and claiming,
"The last thing Australia needs is a royal commission into our world-class banking system."
And here is the Daily Telegraph's Simon Benson in August 2016, waxing lyrical and telling readers,
"The proposal for a royal commission into the banks is one of the most brazen exploitations of a public mood disposed toward anti-elitism. Its aim is entirely political, cornering Turnbull into being the former investment banker now defending the banks."
And here is News Corp's syndicated business columnist Terry McCrann adding his voice to the chorus last year, bemoaning the fact that Australia seemed to be
tumbling inexorably towards a completely unnecessary, politically cynical, stupid and potentially harmful Royal Commission.
And McCrann did not back down when it was announced, despite support from voters, saying it was an inquiry
the country and bank customers most certainly do not need.
Judith Sloan, who writes on economics for The Australian, was yet another determined naysayer, pronouncing,
"In my view, there is no case for a Royal Commission into banking."
And bizarrely, a November editorial in the AFR suggested that conspiracy theories were driving demand for an inquiry and asked,
"What is the problem with the banks that a broad-brushed inquiry supposedly would fix?"
As we all now know, the answer to that could be months in the telling, because last Friday the fallout began.
The Banking Royal Commission has claimed its first major scalp, with AMP Chief Executive Craig Miller stepping down just moments ago. We will go straight to our finance editor, Ross Greenwood. Ross, good morning. This is a dramatic development.
Well, as if the Royal Commission into banks couldn't get any bigger with some of the revelations we've seen so far.
Yep, Ross Greenwood is another opponent of the Commission who's had to change his view. So, why were so many pundits so sure it was a waste of time? Well, perhaps because much of the pressure to have it came from Labour. So to support the Royal Commission was to give succour to the enemy, or at least to Bill Shorten. But clearly those experts who assured us the banks and regulators were doing a great job also had no idea what they were talking about. As Sky's Janine Perrott tweeted last week,
"I thought nothing could shock me anymore, but in my 40 years as a journo, most of it covering business, I have never seen anything as appalling as what we are witnessing at the Banking Royal Commission. And I covered the 80s crooks, including Bond and Skase."
And all that from an inquiry that so many in the media told us wasn't needed and would tell us nothing. Oh.